Thank you, everyone. Does anybody have a flag available for the pledge? I've been counting on David for that. Oh, Todd does. Okay. Todd, you were really ready for that, weren't you? You were so ready. You should have known me. You should have told me you just needed to be called on. Okay, I'm now going to call on Councilman Crandall to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I have to try to stand and hold this in the camera.
Okay, you can do it. I'm confident.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. I gotta get rid of this light. Oh,
Madam Chair,
yes.
yeah, just if I might, just point of personal privilege.
Yes, sure.
Just also wanted to remember Mike Malinoff and I had a good friend pass away, a guy named David Whitaker, and David was just a staunch bicycle advocate around the state. Him and his wife, who also unfortunately passed away not too long ago, he helped with the live music bill. He was a great planner, and he did a lot of community work for the county and around the state. So I just wanted to thoughts and prayers to David's family, to Mike, and to everybody. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Well, we're all very sorry to hear that and sorry for your loss.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, and I'll echo that as well. I served with him on the State Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and that is a tremendous loss.
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
just wanted to say I'm in a moment of shock. I was unaware that Dave Whitaker passed away. He worked at state planning for many years. I just it's really caught me for a moment here. When did it happen, Councilman Quirk?
It was actually we just learned about it the prior work session. So it's one of the reasons the bill 97-20 is being deferred. But yeah, unfortunately, fairly recently, it was a heart attack. And yeah, he was a great planner for the state. He would send me stuff on sustainable, livable communities all the time. And
Well, it's a shocker.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Too
is.
young.
Okay. Anyone else? Excuse me, anyone else before we move on? Okay. We're now going to move on to enrollment of bills. Bills 86-20, 87-20, 88-20, 89-20, 90-20, 91-20, 92-20, 93-20, 95-20, and Georgie, and 96-20. Georgie. Now we're going to move on to introduction of bills. We have Bill 105-20. Councilman Jones?
Would you like me to read the bills for introduction, Madam
That
Chair?
would be great. You know what? I got two dogs at my feet right now. That would be great, Mr. Boswick. And how are you feeling this evening?
I'm doing better. Pain has graduated to discomfort.
Right.
So thank you for asking.
Okay.
Introduction of bills this evening. Bill 105-20, sponsored by Councilman Jones, zoning regulations, parking. Bill 106-20, sponsored by Councilman Marks, zoning regulations, permitted uses, BLR zone. And Bill 107-20, also sponsored by Councilman Marks, zoning regulations, bulk regulations, residence apartment elevator, RAE2 zone.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to call bills for final reading and vote.
Yes, ma'am. First is Bill 97-20, permits, approvals, and inspections, event permits.
Who's going to take that? Ms. Rogers?
Well, this is the one I think that is going to be deferred or
Oh,
extended.
that is the one that's going to be deferred. Okay. Thank you.
And I think it just requires a motion by one of the members and a second and a vote.
Oh, I'll move it.
Second.
Okay. And a vote. Okay. Mr.
Yes, ma'am.
Boswick, will you please read the vote, please?
Yes. Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Marks. So as a result, Madam Chair, Bill 97 will be extended to the next legislative session, which is the work session on October 27th and the legislative session on November the 2nd.
Okay, great. Okay, next bill, please.
Thank you. Next bill,
Madam Chair.
Yes, I'm sorry, Ms.
We
Rogers.
just want to say thank you so very much, given the circumstances. We really do appreciate the extending of the bill.
No problem. Happy to do so. Okay, next
Madam
bill,
Chair,
Mr.
Mike-
Secretary.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Mike Malinoff here, and I just want to thank you too. And I'm sorry that I missed the last meeting.
No problem at all, Mike. No problem at all.
Appreciate the
Okay.
opportunity. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, if I could say one quick thing too.
Yes, Councilman Quirk.
Thank you. On Bill 9720, I know I've heard from many people in the community about concerns for parades and
Mhm.
what is this going to cost nonprofits additional money if the chief of police determines it might. So we could just kind of look into the especially parades, communities don't want to increase any cost there. So we could take a look at that language and just make sure it doesn't have any unintended effects. Appreciate it.
Madam Chair, I completely concur with Councilman Quirk.
Okay,
And I think Mr. Phillips and I can certainly look into that and speak with you both about potential amendment.
okay, thank you.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Boswick, before I move on, that's why I think I've been feeling so out of sorts here. Am I following the wrong agenda for this evening? I think I was sent two.
I think this is the right one. I mean,
Okay.
90, we're now moving to 98,
Okay, all right. Hold
Bill
on one second.
98-20.
Yeah.
This one is the current expense budget, Maryland Recovery Net Client Support Services.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
think, are we on tentative number 3? Is that the
See, that's
agenda
what I don't have in
that?
front of me.
Right, and that one doesn't have deferred there, so I definitely could see the,
Okay,
the question there too. Yeah, thank you.
okay. Who's going to speak on 98-20?
I think it's Mr. Richardson, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, Madam Chair.
Oh,
members
you
of
are
the
there. Hi,
council.
Lawrence. How are you?
The administration is seeking a supplemental appropriation of state funds in the amount of $79,498. The funding is going to the Maryland Department of our Recovery Net Client Support Services. The purpose of these funds is to enable an individual to access and retain community-based behavioral health services and clinical and recovery support plan goals. The grant will fund the basic needs of 225 Baltimore County residents. It is the intent of the Baltimore County Bureau of Behavioral Health that Maryland Recovery Net Substance Use Disorder Client Support Services funds be utilized as funding of last resort for one-time only expenditures and for the purchase of emergency goods and the provision of time-limited services.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the members? Do we have a motion to move?
So moved. Second.
Mhm. Mr. Boswick, call the roll for the vote, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Quirk,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Marks, Mr. Crandall.
Aye.
Bill 98-20 passes. Next bill, please.
Next, Madam Chair, is Bill 99-20, sponsored by Councilwoman Bevins, parking of commercial vehicles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this bill really accomplishes two things if it passes this evening. One is first for the overlay of the Greenlee district. There has been a huge problem, I'm guessing because of the convenience location of Greenlee to the Interstate 95. We have tractor trailers, tractors, commercial vehicles, tour buses, moving trucks, you name it. They're taking up blocks and blocks and blocks on residential streets up here while they're building out the community. So it's a real problem all the way around for the construction of the community, for the sale of the homes in the community. And it's just an issue. The second part of the bill is for the entire county, and that is to have no commercial vehicles parked between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m. on any county roadway. This is to stop, again, all the tractor trailers that instead of parking in places where they can pay to park or in legitimate places that are zoned for it, they're just parking on the county roads. And I'm sure you, in each one of your districts, you have communities that are suffering the blight of this. It also brings a lot of trash where the trash is dumped out on the roads from the tractor trailers. It's a safety issue when cars are trying to pull out. They can't see on either side because the tractor trailers are so large. We have an issue on Franklin Square Drive. The whole from Franklin Square Drive from King Avenue up to Rossville, trucks will park there at every opportunity that they get. And this has caused an issue for the people that work at the hospital with parking and visitors that may not be able to afford or want to park in the lots to park on that roadway because it is constantly full of tractor trailers. I have the issue in Rosedale. I have it in Glendale, Glenmont, Lock Raven. I'm sure Mr. Crandall has it in Dundalk with all the manufacturing. We need to get these trucks on the business properties of, who owns the trucks. And at the same time, there's also a gentleman that is actually trying to put a tractor trailer parking facility in my district, which would not abut any community. So I'm hoping to work with that individual. I hope the county can. And we heard Mr. Marks, if you can remind me who we spoke with at the work session, that said she was very aware of this problem and she's happy to talk with the council and help. She works with the state. Mr. Marks, are you with us?
I'm here.
Okay. Do you remember the woman's name who spoke?
Oh, Nicole Katsakidis.
Yes. So she knows,
Yes.
the state knows that there's a problem. They're working on it. We really need to find safe places for these folks to park, but it's not going to be in our neighborhoods. So the bill is very specific about 1,000 feet from a residential neighborhood. So anywhere away from 1,000 feet, they can park. So there's still other availability on our roadways for during the day, but not overnight. So I hope that you'll all support this bill because I think that it's becoming a blight in Baltimore County.
Madam
Thank
Chair.
you. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question for the administration. Have you any plans to inform the truck drivers regarding this new law? And if so, what are they? Because I think it's important that the information get out, and because this really needs to be done.
Are you speaking to me, Wade, or the administration?
No, administration.
Ms. Rogers or Mr.
I'm
Blake?
just asking how they plan to, publicize it and carry out the provisions of this bill.
That's a good question. I mean, the police will be doing
Sure.
ticketing, and usually, not always, but usually with the new bill, they give a warning when people aren't aware, and they give a warning, and then they state what the new code is. But you're right, that is a concern. I guess there's so many folks doing it that how would we reach out to each and every company? I mean, the tractor trailer, I don't know, I guess they have an association or a lobbyist that I'm sure will take this information back to them. I had some small businesses reach out to me to see if they fell under this bill as well. So people are hearing about it. It's working its way through the system, but I'm not sure how we would. It's like any other bill that we do. We advertise the best that we can. Ms. Rogers?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I would say that the communication strategy around the passage of the legislation would be a part of the rollout, and definitely doing it as we've done in other situations where initially there would be a warning. But a coordinated effort would be made, especially in the target areas that you mentioned, Madam Chair. And then if there are other locations where we would make a concerted effort to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've chased this problem for 6 years
Mm.
since I've been on the council. Even when I was in the legislature, I got a lot of calls about 83, about illegal parking, et cetera.
Mhm.
So this problem persists. Thank you
Mhm.
very much.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilman Quirk?
Yeah, you can add me as one of the co-sponsors on the bill. It's clearly, I think it's a big issue around the county. And it's like push pull, you push one down, another pops up.
That's right.
So if it's more of a uniform role, it gives the police a little easier time trying to go after this issue, which is a big issue. We have a huge issue, especially all around Security Square Mall. Anywhere where there's like 70 or 95 or anything close to 695. And you know, my dad's a diesel mechanic. He drove tractor trailers. I'm not against tractor trailer drivers at all. I support them. But I do think we need to definitely try to work with people that are trying to build places where these tractor trailers can park and maybe even sleep when they need to for safety. And also, it's just clearly an issue. But what happens, Madam Chair, you're absolutely right. A lot of these tractor trailers wind up parking all over communities. It creates big problems. We've been fighting it for years and years. And so, yeah, I'll co-sponsor it. I think it's a good one.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, from what I understand, for the most part, you know, I mean, you know, after you work 12, 14, 18 hours, you know, they just want to get back home and they find a place closest to their home, and instead of
Mhm.
parking where they're supposed to park, which could add another 30 or 40 minutes to their travel time. I did have 2 businesses reach out to me. I won't name who they are, but they were concerned about their commercial trucks that go home with their drivers and the little guy. And I understand that. But once I got a description and the weight of the truck and what it looks like, they're not supposed to be in our neighborhoods to begin with. They're not supposed to be on the street as far as the police are concerned, and they're not supposed to be in your driveways as far as code enforcement is concerned. So these heavy duty trucks just are not supposed to be in our communities, and they can't park anywhere near, you know, new communities that have these HOAs. They're absolutely forbidden. They may bring them home and park them a few blocks away and then have to walk because they're not allowed in the neighborhoods at all. So I'm hoping that we can work with everybody and everybody can find a parking place. So I'm happy to move Bill number. Yes.
Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and second it if I can just make a quick couple comments.
Yeah, sure.
You were absolutely correct. The 7th district has this problem as well. I know that our police precincts are well aware of it, and I know our constituents are certainly aware of it, and we get calls time to time about this problem. So I do appreciate the bill. And before I second your motion, I would like to just offer the suggestion that we use the truck traffic work group that convened their first meeting just a couple weeks ago. The Truckers Association is represented on that work group, so I'm sure they'll be well aware by the time their next meeting comes around that the legislation exists. Then it certainly appears that we have the votes to pass it. So I'll go ahead and second it, but I see Ms. Rogers raising her hand.
Yes,
Councilmember Crandall, you took the words right out of my mouth. As a vehicle, I was thinking the same thing. So I will definitely alert DeAndrea, excuse me, because she's chairing the work group for the administration. DeAndrea Walker, who's a deputy for transportation in DPW. So I think that would be a perfect way to, especially around the communication coordination, getting input from the trucker community and association representative. We'll make sure to make that connection.
very good. That makes me feel even better about it. there aren't any more questions or comments, I'd like to move 9920.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Crandall. I appreciate it. Mr. Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk.
Aye.
Very good. Bill 99-20 is passed.
Madam Chair, I have a comment about this issue. Besides parking, there's also a trash issue.
Yeah, I mentioned, yeah.
County has been very cooperative in placing trash receptacles in various areas and then collecting the trash. So, but this is an ongoing issue, and I appreciate the bill, and I expect that it will make a major difference.
I
Thank
hope so. I hope so.
And Madam Chair,
Yes.
I did want to kind of tag on to Councilman Catch's sentiments, because not only is it an issue with parking, an issue with trash, I do appreciate Ms. Rogers and the work group that's looking into it, because Councilman Crandall and I have had just an unbelievably difficult time with trucks going through community neighborhoods when they shouldn't be and they're overweight. Benson Avenue, and I know Councilman Crandall have had issues looking at state legislation. So I think this work group is going to be really important, and I definitely do want to give a shout out to the administration as well for helping to tackle this issue. And then hopefully we get enabling state legislation as well, so we can do a better job of making sure these tractor trailers aren't flying down roads where they're not supposed to because they're overweight and they're speeding and neighbors are getting really upset. So yeah, I think we're definitely scratching just the surface of some of these issues. So I appreciate the efforts that are going into it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Next bill.
Next, Madam Chair, is Bill 100-20, sponsored by Councilman Marks, Design Review Areas.
Mr. Marks?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill adds 2 areas in Towson, historic East Towson and Towson Estates, to the areas that will be reviewed by the Design Review Panel.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Councilman Marks? All righty. Do I have a motion?
There is an
amendment, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. I'm sorry. Mr. Secretary, would you like to read the amendment?
Yes, ma'am. The amendment is a technical amendment that would, to the last section of the bill, that would apply it as well to any project that has not received full and final approval of a development plan on or before the effective date of the act.
Okay. Do we have a motion to move the amendment?
No motion.
Second. Mr. Secretary, call the roll.
Yes, Madam Chair. Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Okay, the amendment to Bill 100-20 has passed. Do we have a motion to move Bill 100-20?
I'll move it.
I'll
As
second.
amended.
Okay. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 100-20 as amended.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Catch? Mr.
Aye.
Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
All righty. Bill 100-20 passes as amended, sorry. Okay, moving on to approval of fiscal matters and contracts.
Yes, Madam Chair.
So all 3 contracts, do we have 3 contracts
I think we have 4. We have 4 fiscal matters, Madam Chair.
and the amendment?
I'm sorry?
And isn't there an amendment to the contract as well?
I don't believe there are any amendments to any of the contracts, any of the fiscal matters.
Oh, that's for traffic lines. Okay, I'm sorry. And do we have Tom Kiefer here to discuss this? And this is your last council meeting?
It is.
I'm so
Yeah.
happy. I'm so happy for you. We just
Well,
got
thank you.
we just got to know you though. We don't like it when people just get here and we get comfortable and we love your work and you leave us.
Well, maybe when I open the ABC down in Costa Rica, that stands for appetizer, bed, and cocktail. You can pay a visit.
You know I'm in. You know I'm in, and you know where to find me. Oh, I love that. And I got a feeling there's going to be limoncello there.
Madam Chair, I don't want to take the wind out of Mr. Kiefer's sails, but as with the other fiscal matters, there's really, unless a member requests, there's no need for testimony.
You know, I'm just pretending it's a work session.
And I was going to say nice things. Okay.
Okay, you go.
But if you'd like to give Mr. Kiefer the floor, since it is his last one, I don't want to take his time.
Well, let's do the bills first, and then we'll all say goodbye to Mr. Kiefer. How's that?
Okay, the four fiscal matters.
Sorry.
As you know, the council received the testimony at the work session last Tuesday, and they're available if needed, if a member has any questions. And if you'd like, I can read the four matters that are before the council.
You could just real quick, yeah, if you don't mind.
Fiscal matter. Where am
I know. I'm just having so many problems here tonight. General Appliances LLC.
All right. Fiscal matter 1, Madam Chair, is a contract with General Appliance LLC for snow removal. Fiscal matter 2 is a contract with Damon's Lawn Service LLC, also snow removal. Fiscal matter 3 is a contract with Murphy Marine Construction for snow removal. And then fiscal matter 4 is an amendment to a contract with Traffic Lines Incorporated for installation of pavement marking, all DPW.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none. I know who's laughing at me.
Me. Because I can.
Tom, tell us how much you've loved working in Baltimore County for the last 14 years.
I have to say that it's been a pleasure and certainly entertaining having you as chairwoman of council. Thank you. And certainly the citizens of Baltimore County are certainly fortunate to have this group of leaders within their districts. Everybody's looked out for very well, and the passion for what is being done is just incredible. And it's been my pleasure working with everybody. This last stint as acting director, certainly short, but for the 14 years, starting off in utilities, answering a lot of constituent concerns and complaints regarding water, sewer, storm drainage. So all that's been a lot of fun.
All that sexy stuff. Storm drainage.
Yeah, we make sewer sexy. That's it.
You do. Well, it's been a pleasure to getting to know you, and thank you for all you've done in your short time as the acting director. We certainly all appreciate it, and you make our jobs easier when we have somebody as a director like you that solves problems for us every day and lets the constituents of Baltimore County know that their tax dollars are working for them, and we're out there doing a good job. So thank you, and enjoy your retirement, and don't forget about me when you get down there.
That's right. Look me up.
Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Kiefer, this is Izzy Patoka. I want to wish you good luck. Was that your, so like the state of Virginia has this motto that Virginia is for lovers. Was that your motto for DPW, that we make sewage sexy?
That's right.
Like
sounds like a
Virginia
good
motto?
tagline.
It is. Okay, well, congratulations. We should have pushed that out. We should have rolled that out a little bit more.
Oh, well, maybe I'll stay busy.
Bumper stickers. But good luck to you.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for working with our group there in your district, trying to get the pedestrian issues worked out. So that sounds like that's moving forward in a positive direction.
Yes,
Madam
thank
Chair.
you.
Yes, Councilman. Yes.
Yeah, this is Wade Catch. Tom, I want to thank you for all you've done in public works. I watch House Hunters International frequently, and I can tell you that you can get accommodations in Tibet a lot cheaper than in Costa Rica. Now, they might not have plumbing. I don't know if that's important. Or clean water, if that's important to you. But I can assure you that the rents are like $200-300 a month. So I hope that's helpful to you.
Thank you very much for that input. I'll take it under consideration.
Now, I think I actually need to move this, right? That's, do we need to move these matters?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, Councilman Jones. Where are you?
I was just going to ask Mr. Kiefler, number one, congratulations on your retirement. And I was wondering, with your, you're going to go to Costa Rica after you finish your tour of the states in your RV? Is that correct?
So there'll be a combination of, I have to visit the grandkids every now and then. So it'll be RVing for some of the year and Costa Rica for the other part of the year, and do both.
Nice.
So when I show up at the campground with my little tiny camper, you'll be the guy in that big, giant, long 50-foot motorhome with a boat and a car behind it. That'll be you?
That'll be me.
Okay, well, when you look down on me, just say hello. I may not be able to see your tinted windows, but step out and say hello to me. Have a good time.
Thank you very much. I plan on spending as much time outside as possible.
At least you're showing up in a camper. I got nothing.
It only took me about 40 years to make it here to a camper. Before I was in a little tiny tent.
There we go. Okay, does anybody else have any more comments or what wishes for Mr. Kiefler before we move on? Okay. I'll move matters 1 through 4. Have a second?
Second.
Mr. Boswick, please call the roll.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Fiscal matters 1 through 4 are approved. Thank you and good luck, sir.
Right. Thank you very much.
We will now consider miscellaneous business. Mr. Secretary, first item.
Madam Chair, if I may move back just a little bit, I think we covered this, but in an abundance of caution, just to make sure, could we do a motion to approve the journal for the meetings of October 5th and October 13th?
That's fine. Yeah, I just, if you couldn't tell, now I'm on track. My computer shut down and I have just been winging it the whole time. And I've been trying to get back and find my agenda. And if Chris McCullum's online, I need an IT person. But anyway, I'm on track. So thank you, Mr. Boswick, for taking us back. So make me cover everything that I didn't thus far.
Yes, ma'am. So is there a motion to approve the journal for the meetings of October 5th and October 13th?
So moved. Second.
And I'll call the roll.
Yeah.
Mrs. Bevan, or no, I think this is actually a voice vote. So
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, thank you. Sorry to digress. Next on the agenda, as you said, Madam Chair, is miscellaneous business. The first item is the reading of non-competitive awards. Whenever a contract over $25,000 is awarded by a process other than formal competitive bid, a copy of the contract must be given to the county council and announced at the next legislative session following the award of the contract. The first contract is Rush Print Company, LLC, doing business as Rush Tees and Signs for COVID-19 cloth masks, $63,960. Next is Albright Farms Corporation for turkeys related to COVID-19, $56,250. Next is JAK Global Link for medical gloves related to COVID-19, $70,100. Next is Edward G. Rowell and Sons Incorporated for box produce COVID-19, $36,000. Next is Porter's Supply Company Incorporated, disinfecting wipes, COVID-19, $84,950. And finally, Verizon Maryland LLC, database services in the amount of $785,000, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Next item.
Next is Resolution 111-20, sponsored by Councilman Marks. This is to approve the designation of historic East Towson as a design review area.
Thank you. Mr. Councilman Marks, are you with us?
Yeah, this is the companion to the previous legislation that we used.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Councilman Marks? Is there a motion to move Resolution 111-20?
So moved.
I'll second it. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 111-20.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Resolution 111-20 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, next is Resolution 113-20. This is sponsored by Councilwoman Bevins, and this is a resolution to approve the property tax refund to Cheryl Smith, who, as a disabled veteran, is entitled to a refund under state law.
It's my honor to move it.
A second.
Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 113-20.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Resolution 113-20 is passed. Next item.
Next is Resolution 114-20, sponsored by Councilwoman Bevins. This is a resolution to approve the property tax refund to Harold Lundy, who, as a disabled veteran, is entitled to the refund under state law.
Again, it's my absolute honor to move it.
Second.
Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 105-20.
114-20.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Resolution 114-20 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next, Madam Chair, is the council's consideration of the nomination by the county executive of Mr. Leonard Howie to be the next director of the Department of Economic and Workforce Development.
Very good. And I see that we have Mr. Howie with us this evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
How are you this evening?
I am well, and it is a pleasure to be here and to see everyone again.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. I'd like to thank you for the introduction at our work session last week and really giving us a feel of who you are and certainly what you've done and so much of what you've done and wanting to come back to local government and wanting to work in Baltimore County. And we certainly appreciate that. We know there are many opportunities here in the county for workforce economic development and workforce development. And there's so much more room for that. And we need somebody with a vision. And I certainly believe you are that person. And so I want to thank you so much for wanting to be here and giving us the opportunity to have you with us.
Well, I'll tell you, I am just honored to be to have been asked to come and to help serve. As I mentioned last week, public service has been the cornerstone of my entire professional career, and this opportunity, as I mentioned as well, my connections to the county dated back to the mid-90s, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to come back and work on behalf of the people of the county.
Thank you. And again, we're so grateful for Acting Director Chris McCullum, and I know that he's going to be there for you every step
Absolutely.
of the way and get you very familiar with Baltimore County and all the great projects that are just waiting out there for you. So, Mr. McCullum, we thank you for your service as Acting Director this evening as well. Are there any comments or questions for any of the council members for Mr. Howard?
Madam Chair, again, just like I did the other day, I guess like to welcome Mr. Howie to Baltimore County, and I look forward to working with him, and I'm sure he'll be a great addition to the team.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilman Catch.
Yes, I'd like to also welcome Mr. Halley to Baltimore County. Wish him well in his new position, and we look forward to working with him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Councilman Jones.
if I could, let me just thank Chris McCollum for doing an excellent job holding the fort down. And I know Will Anderson did a fantastic job for us. No slight on you, Mr. Howie. We're happy to have you, but we're sorry to see Mr. Anderson leave. He did a great job. And Chris McCollum, you've been doing a great job. So I guess like to give you some accolades. And again, welcome, Mr. Howie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Or should we move on and vote? Very good. I'll move it. I'll move.
Second.
All righty, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on the appointment.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka.
Aye.
Appointment is confirmed. Welcome to Baltimore County, Mr. Howie.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I look forward to working with each of you.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next, Madam Chair, is Resolution 115-20. This is a resolution sponsored by Councilman Quirk to authorize the property tax refund to Karen Brown, who as a disabled veteran is entitled to a refund under state law.
Yeah, I'll move that, Madam Chair.
I'll second. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 115-20.
Mr. Quirk,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Marks, Mr. Marks, Mr. Marks,
He's in a tough place tonight.
yeah, he may be having technical difficulties. One more time, Mr. Marks?
I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. Did you vote?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, sir. Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, Resolution 115-20 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, next is Resolution 116-20, sponsored by Councilman Catch. This is a resolution to authorize the property tax refund to Mr. Andrew Lewis Tamburino, who as a disabled veteran is entitled to a refund under state law.
It's my honor to move Resolution 116-20.
Second.
Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 116-20.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Resolution 116-20 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next is Resolution 117-20, sponsored by Councilman Marks. This is a resolution to authorize the property tax refund to Mr. Peter Kavanaugh, who as a disabled veteran is entitled to a refund under state law.
It's my honor to move it.
I'll second. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 117-20.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk.
Aye.
Resolution 117-20 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
The next resolution before you is 118-20 at the request of the administration. This is a resolution to authorize / pre-approve a contract of sale for the purchase of a warehouse facility related to COVID-19 for your consideration.
Thank you. And I believe we have Mr. David Bykoff to testify this evening.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair, members of council. Thank you. This resolution, we're requesting pre-approval to enter into a contract to purchase a warehouse within Baltimore County of up to $7.5 million to house food, non-perishable food, and personal protective equipment needed to continue to provide for our constituents for the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. As you're aware, since March, we've delivered over 7 million meals to the citizens of Baltimore County. We've also taken in several $million of personal protective equipment, and we anticipate needing to continue both of these projects well into the new year in the future. We would like to, first of all, thank the St. John Properties for loaning us space at, or leasing us space at $0 for the last several months to house some of our excess equipment. But this is an ongoing need that we have identified and we don't believe is going away anytime in the near future. Complicating these needs is the warehouse or real estate market within Baltimore County is quite active due to the rise in online retail shopping. It's difficult to acquire real estate property in a timely manner. This resolution will allow us to more effectively compete on the market and acquire something that's fiscally responsible and meets the needs of the county.
Thank you. Are there any, no, I guess. I see Ms. Sachs is on there. Oh, there are some amendments. Mr. Boswick, would you like to read the amendments?
Yes, Madam Chair. These amendments are offered by council members Crandall and Marks. And there's really three components to it. The first would specify that the council's authorization and pre-approval for the county to negotiate and enter into a contract of sale for the purchase of a warehouse facility in the amount not to exceed $7.5 million is for activities to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the coronavirus crisis only, as it is more described more fully in the body of the resolution. The second component is that upon entering into any such contract, the purchasing authority shall immediately forward to the members of the council the recommendation for approval of the contract, including a copy of the contract and a summary of the transaction. And as part of this notification, the purchasing authority would be able to proceed with the transaction unless within 3 days after receipt of the recommendation, a member of the council requested in writing that the sale be forwarded to the council that it be forwarded on a council agenda for approval or disapproval at an emergency legislative meeting that would need to be convened within 1 day after that 3-day period has lapsed. So as you're aware of 7-day letters and 14-day letters, this one would be essentially a 3-day letter of notice. And then the final component to the amendment is to state clearly that this resolution, if approved, would not constitute or be construed as a waiver of any oversight or consent required of the council for any other current or future transactions that require such approvals pursuant to the charter or the code and other provisions. So it's essentially those three components.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions on the amendment?
I have a comment, Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilman Crandall.
Thank you. I think that as we contemplated this resolution and understood the precedent that it set and some concerns with the council's responsibilities and duties mandated by the charter, and in talking with our own attorneys, I think the amendments strike a balance between the administration's need for expediency, which I think all of us completely understand. I think that Mr. Bykoff has clearly explained the speed at which and the competitive nature of the warehouse market, and the fact that we have a lot of stuff that we need to put away so they could be effectively distributed. So I thought that we would strike the need for the administration's strike the balance between the administration's need for expediency with the council's land use and fiscal responsibility that are mandated by the charter. So in my mind, the amended resolution would allow the county to move forward knowing that the funding is already approved, but the council gets an opportunity within a very short period of time that should not affect the administration's negotiations to vet the placement of this facility in one of our districts. So that's the spirit of the amendments, and I thank Mr. Marks for his co-sponsorship.
Thank you, Mr. Crandall. I was wondering if we could add the wording, and I thought about this earlier and then got mixed up with my computer. But for the wording, that wording that says COVID-19 and future food insecurity needs by Baltimore County residents. Mr. Boswick?
Madam Chair.
I think Mr. Bostrick's on mute.
Oh.
Sorry, Madam Chair. You're talking about the amendment where it specifies 4 activities to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the coronavirus crisis and food insecurity.
And future food insecurity needs by Baltimore County residents.
The only issue with that, and maybe the administration can speak to this, is we're talking, I think, about CARES Act funding and I don't know if what you have indicated, which is obviously a very legitimate thing, but I don't know if that would be covered by CARES Act funds.
Yeah, but so my question is, I guess, once CARE Act funds say they disappear, we still have this warehouse, correct? That we could put food in for any food security.
Ma'am, Madam Chair, so just if I could clarify for a moment, we are not at this point intending to use CARES CRF funding for this. There is some alternate grant funding. We're certainly not anticipating using county budget funding. I want to make that perfectly clear. We are not requesting local funding. But to your point, there is some issues with CARES money, and we are looking at some alternate community development funding that will allow us to continue its use. And yes, the goal is to continue to meet the constituents' needs for food distribution, our first responders' needs for PPE, and then, we would be very cognizant of what the current needs are related to the economic and health impacts that are downstream of this event.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Ms. Rogers?
I think Councilman Perk was trying to weigh in. I think that was his voice.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I'm curious on James Benjamin's view of this amendment. I mean, is this really needed? Is this kind of considering it's really almost a one-off? I just want to see if Mr. James Benjamin has an opinion on if this is really needed.
Excuse me, thank you, and good evening. One of the things that, in looking at the original resolution and looking at the charter language, it's my understanding that there was some concern about whether or not the original resolution's language would run afoul of the charter. And it says any contract must be approved by the county council before it's executed if the contract is for the purchase of real or leasehold property where the purchase price of the property is in excess of $5,000 or such amount as may be set by legislative act of the county council. If the original resolution is passed, the set amount via the legislative act, that is the resolution, would be 7.5 million. So in my view, as long as the purchase price did not exceed 7.5 million, the resolution as originally drafted would not violate the charter. So if the issue is whether or not there would be a violation of the charter, I don't think that the amended or the amendments would be necessary. I think that it's reasonable to request a 3-day, or I guess notice to be provided to the council within 3 days. But as far as being able to have an emergency hearing to approve the expenditure, I don't think that's necessary for purposes of being able to keep the legislation in, or to be consistent with the charter.
Madam
I
Chair.
hope that answers your question. Councilman Court, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that obviously I don't think the county executive's office or the administration is going to. I mean, if they didn't need the warehouse, they absolutely wouldn't be purchasing it. And I know time is of the essence, and this is all COVID related. This is outside money that we're being able to take it. So for me personally, I don't think the amendments, respectfully, I don't think the amendments needed. Although I can understand the where it was coming from.
Understood. I think that if the concern or the issue appears to be timing, I think that the resolution as originally drafted, it helps meet helps the county as far as being able to compete and respond expeditiously. And so in that sense, I don't think I would concur with regard to the amendments, but I just want to make sure that it's clear that, because it's my understanding there may have been concerns about whether or not the original resolution was consistent with what the charter requires. I just wanted to give it my opinion it is. In my legal opinion it is.
Madam Chair, if I can.
Councilman Crandall?
Thank you. So the genesis of the 3-day notification, as Mr. Bostwick stated, was to make this very similar to the 7-day or 14-day notifications that we get as a council. And if we don't have a problem or don't want to discuss whatever the decision is, or that the administration is making within that 7 or 14-day period, then we just stay quiet and it moves forward. So the reason for the 3-day notification to the council and a subsequent vote, should a council member request that vote, is that if we're looking at, we all know the immediate need, but once we're through COVID, hopefully sooner rather than later, we're through it, and this space can become something else. Now we have a land use that the council did not weigh in. So we're abdicating our land use authority. So we could have, not that the administration is trying to do anything malicious with the placement of this facility, but I know in our district, we have facilities that are in neighborhoods, nearby neighborhoods. And I think that our communities would appreciate their representative having a say in where ultimately a facility like this could go. Again, I fully appreciate the emergency that we're in and the need for expediting this. But I, as I said, I have locations where this could possibly go that I don't think fit inside of some of our neighborhoods. So that's why I would prefer that we not abdicate our land use authority. And as far as what Mr. Benjamin is saying on whether it's a charter violation might be too strong of a word, but it's not within the county charter, I'm going to leave that to the attorneys to work out. That's a risk that the administration seems willing to take on. So for me, the main focus of the amendments is that 3-day notification period.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Pacheco.
Thank you. I have two areas I'd like to discuss on this issue. One, in terms of the amendment introduced by Councilman Crandall and Marks. I do think it's important that, I know that we have to act quickly, but I think it's important that we don't set a precedent of writing $7.5 million authorizations without getting to see exactly how those dollars are spent, A. And B, I think 3 days is pretty reasonable, especially since it's likely to occur quickly since we are in COVID. And thanks to Mr. Boswick and Chris Belcastro, we are very nimble as a council. We can get together quite quickly through this, through WebEx or some other form of technology. And so I don't think that, it doesn't seem like we're going to be in real meetings, or in-person meetings, I should say, in the near future. So by the time this warehouse is located and ready for purchase, I do think that the team can assemble us for a review in a 3-day period. So there's that. I think that getting a chance to review it is good for this council and good for the county, because we each represent a different portion of the county and have good perspective. There's a whole other piece that just opened up tonight in my thinking, and I initially thought this was CARES money, and now it doesn't. Councilman Quirk called it outside money, and Mr. Mr. Bykoff, thank you. Sorry, I was having brain lock. Brain lock is the term I was looking for. Said that it's not CARES money, so I'd just like a little bit more clarity on what money, and I want to make sure that it's not money that would be dedicated to the capital budget for fiscal 21.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to comment. That's what I was going to try to say a little earlier. Councilman Patoka, the sense of urgency is, of course, the time, the deadline on our CARES Act funding. We're purchasing the products, the non-perishable food, PPE, stockpiling, because it's very clear that the pandemic is not going to end on December 30th, and all of a sudden the 31st, we won't need these products. Now, we don't know what the commitment is from the state or the federal government in terms of the things that our citizens are going to need. That's why we need the space. The space part of it, in terms of exploring alternatives and what is the best funding, it is not my understanding that it would be anything that would take away from the capital budget. I'm going to ask Mr. Bykoff, because their committee has talked about it, but the sense of urgency is we have nowhere to put surplus food that we can purchase. That is an allowable CARES Act grant purchase, nor the PPE for us, and that we may be able to help nursing homes with. We need a place to put all of these things as much as we can, because we don't know what's going to happen after December 31st. So, Mr. Bykoff, I'll take it back to you with respect to the exploration of the funding, where we don't run afoul of anything with making the purchase of the building with the CARES Act money. I just wanted to let you know why we have a sense of urgency and need to move quickly with some of the real estate pieces, because we keep getting bumped out.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayo. We have been looking at some of the community development block grant money that was specific to COVID. There was additional, the term is CDBG-CV. Those funds are specific to COVID response, but they're not. There's no timeline, or there's no deadline at the end of the year, and they are a little bit more flexible on real estate. But to your point, I think I can't stress enough that we're not asking for capital. We're not asking for a budget impact. We are very cognizant of the position that the county is in, and we're moving forward with this project under the assumption that it is going to be funded outside of the capital budget, or outside of the county budget.
So if those funds aren't used for warehouse space, let's say we spend 6 million on a warehouse, would the remaining $1.5 million be eligible for any other county function expenditure?
I want to be careful that I don't get too far afield because this is a very complicated grant program, and we do have experts that are experts on community block grant funding. I know that there are a number of other projects. I know that this is not taking away from something that was previously identified. So there's nothing, we're not drawing back a project to do this.
I see. But do we need to return dollars that are unspent?
If we don't spend them, they will revert. That's why we're trying to spend everything that we can. But Mr. Bykoff's point about the community development block grant funding with respect to having more flexibility and more time. What expires on December 30th is our CARES Act grant that came through the Department of the Treasury. That goes away. If we don't spend it, it reverts back. And that's what we're trying to do to make sure that we expend every dollar. And that's why we felt like we better try to take advantage of stockpiling, because there's no guarantee. We have to take receipt of all products and whatever services. It has to be received, and everything ends as of December 30th for CARES Act grant money that came from the Treasury. Community development block grant money, the special allocation that is to support COVID is more flexible and has more time. And Councilmember Patoka, if there are funds that are not identified, or projects are not identified, yes, that other $1 million could be used for other things that we can identify. But as Mr. Bykoff indicated, this proposal does not take away from anything.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I thought it was an excellent response by Mr. Bykoff, followed up by Ms. Rogers. Well, I can appreciate and understand the concerns from Councilman Marks and Councilman Crandall. I think given the nature of this being a one-off and not wanting to unintentionally tie our hands, trying to utilize this money that's not taken away from any other money in the budget, I'm more than willing to pass the bill without the amendment, but of course, you respectfully can understand if my colleagues disagree. Thank you.
The only issue that I had, Mr. Crandall, if you could share with me, when you talk about our communities and they should have a say where this would go, and that should be a conversation. I'm confused by that because if it's warehousing, it's already zoned for that purpose. So we wouldn't be stockpiling this and using this building unless it was already zoned for that. So we wouldn't be putting it in the middle of a neighborhood, unless that warehouse was already zoned for. So it's already being used already as warehousing. So I don't know what the difference would be, whether it's for the county use with the PPE and the food distribution. I'm not sure what the difference would be. So if you could tell me your perspective on that.
Sure. And I think it's a valid question. I'm aware of some sites that have been looked at that are not warehouses. They're big buildings. And so that being said, as I've said before, once this property is owned by Baltimore County owns it. And as we understand the zoning regs in Baltimore County, our own zoning regs do not apply to county-owned property. Right. So in the future, the county could turn this into anything they wanted. So without our say so. And I'm looking at a property that you're probably aware of that is a Baltimore County utility yard on Riverside Avenue in Essex. And it is literally a utility yard with dump trucks in and out and various work trucks in and out throughout the day and throughout the evening, early morning. And it sits right in the middle of two residential plots. So that's my concern, is looking out for the future and just saying, hey, hey, administration, we know that you need this expediency, you need access, you need approval of the funds, but I would just like to know if it's coming to my district. Not that I'm against it in any way, but I would like to know in advance of the settlement of where it's going to be placed, because 5 to 10 years from now, that could be something completely different than just a warehouse to distribute food.
Okay, thank you.
That's
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Madam
Yeah.
Chair.
I think Councilman Cash was first.
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Benjamin.
Yes.
Mr. Ben, oh, okay. When you spoke about the amendment, you suggested that part of the amendment be eliminated. Am I right?
No, I was saying that with regard to the 3-day notice,
Right.
that's something that doesn't concern me so much.
Right.
What concerns me is, in addition to the 3-day amendment, 3-day notice, having the emergency hearing where the approval, I guess, would be finalized. And my concern is, if you have a situation, for example, where you have a seller who is looking to sell property and the county is interested in that, but they have to go through this process whereby you have to give the 3-day notice and then also the determination at an emergency hearing that's called to determine whether or not it should be approved. If you have a competitor who is ready to acquire the property and they don't have to go through those additional steps, it may be a barrier for the county as far as being able to acquire this property for, in a situation where you have a pandemic involving some of the most vulnerable residents in the county. So my concern is just that additional time where you may have a determination as to whether or not it should be approved or not, knowing how active the real estate market is and the desire to respond expeditiously to be able to have the ability to acquire the property. That's just my concern. And so my main focus was being able to look at the charter and look at the original resolution, the language of the original resolution, and say that it does fall in line with what the charter requires. That's what I was saying, sir.
Now, if the 3-day part of the amendment stays in, if a council member has a problem and wants further action, there would be no opportunity for a hearing or anything if you take that out of the amendment. So I'm confused as to what the purpose of the 3-day period would be then. If,
Well, the original resolution, it required, as soon as practicably possible, the contract of sale will be reported to the council.
Right.
In accordance with 902F of the charter and section 10-2-309. So what I was saying was, in my mind, my thought was, well, rather than have the language as soon as practically possible, have language where it would be within 3 days that we reported to the council, just to make sure that the council was informed.
Oh, so I get it. So I understand now what you're talking about. Okay. And secondly, regarding the chairman's suggested amendment that the building after COVID be used for to be used for storage for the food situation or the hunger situation. Do we want to legislatively tie the hands of the county as to what they will do with this building after COVID is over?
Was that a question to me, sir?
Yeah, sure. Food insecurity is what the amendment was. That it be used, that the warehouse be used for food insecurity storage after the COVID passes. And I was just wondering if that's too specific and would tie the hands of the county for future uses of this building.
Well, I think that there are, certain long-term CDBG requirements with regard to use. I would need to look at the amendment that was posed, being able to look at it, on paper to see how it reads, quite frankly. But I don't, as we sit here, it doesn't give me too much pause. But I would like to be able, if there was an opportunity to be able to see how it reads, that would be helpful.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilman.
Councilman Catch brings up an interesting point. So let's say we're beyond COVID and we own this building and we've been storing food in it. And initially, Madam Chair, when you mentioned food insecurity, it made total sense. But then I thought, what if down the road we need a rec center?
Oh,
and this
God.
building is so big that we can use it for a rec center. Is that something that would be CDBG eligible down the road?
So again, not to, excuse me, ma'am, not to, I am not an expert in CDBG. However, I believe that it has to be used to continue to provide the community with CDB eligible activities such as meeting the needs of food insecurity, sheltering, housing, various things that I think in general would address the needs of low-income constituents. That's kind of the broadest way I can put it. But there are requirements of how these buildings are used beyond the initial purchase.
And Madam Chair?
Yes, Councilman.
Yeah, if I could just ask for a little clarification here. I know you had mentioned your concern. Was that a formalized amendment or more of a question, or is that on the floor right now, or did you reconsider that?
Are you talking to me, Mr. Quirk?
Yes.
It was more of a question.
Right.
That's about the wording, just about the wording, and if the wording should be more specific.
Okay, so it's not it's not an amendment that there's no first or second. It's more of a discussion point. I just want to make sure I'm following everything right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Can we have a motion on the amendments?
Madam Chair.
Councilman Jones.
Just one quick question. I'm following this, and I guess I'm thinking to myself, I've been in the real estate business for 30 years. And I'm thinking to myself, when you're looking at due diligence clauses and inspection clauses and financing clauses, maybe I'm just out of touch, but unless there's an auction, I can't imagine where a 3-day notification would somehow sink a $7 million deal. Can somebody, if there's some objection to a 3-day notice on a $7 million purchase, please explain it to me, because I've never seen such a thing. Because like I said, if you're going to spend $7 million, there should be some due diligence opportunity there for you to make sure you're not buying a pig in a poke. There should be opportunities to look for environmental concerns, you name it. Unless it's an auction, normally there's always time. So I'm just wondering, is 3 days a problem, letting us know what's going on? And if we don't object, it just keeps on going? And that's an open question to anybody on the call who sees 3 days as a problem.
Madam Chair, Councilmember Jones, the question is though, the way I thought I heard the proposed amendment is that it will be an emergency hearing as well, not just the 3 days. I don't think there's Attorney Benjamin said there was anything concern, and I don't think 3 days is concern for us. I think it was with the requirement for the actual hearing. But I guess I
Ms.
had,
Rogers? Oh, I'm sorry.
yes,
I'm sorry, you weren't finished.
right, but I had one other question. In this same scenario, like the 7-day and 14-day letters, and if there are no objections, they go through. But what happens if there is an objection? Do you call a hearing?
I was going to answer your first question, but I'll defer to Mr. Bostwick to your second question.
Right, because I'm trying to compare the two things, because I know those don't have explicitly a hearing.
Well,
It's exactly like the 7-day and 14-day notices, the way it's written. If after 3, and it says specifically, the purchasing authority may proceed with the contract of sale unless within 3 days after receipt of the recommendation, a member of the county council requests in writing that the contract of sale be forwarded to the county council for approval or disapproval at an emergency legislative meeting convened within 1 day after the time for council action has elapsed.
Right, so it's there there in the 7 days, it's there in the 14 days, and it will be there in this.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not different, it's not any different. Okay.
And if I can just weigh in, and Mr. Bostwick can correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason in a 7-day or 14-day period, it's rarely ever happened. I can't really recall that it's happened, but it would come up on the council's next legislative session, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct, Mr. Crandall. Normally, it is the next legislative session that it would come upon.
Right. So the reason that the amendment that we're discussing is a three-day notification period, and then if there is an objection by a council member, then the emergency session would kick in that 4th day. So that was an effort to maintain the expediency of the process that the administration needs. Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd like to call the question.
Madam Chair, can we do a division on?
I'll move it. Madam Chair, you're muted.
Sorry, my dogs are barking. Councilman Quirk, your question is do a division on the amendment?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's generally consensus on this, except for just that the emergency part of it. If I'm hearing things right, I mean, seems like I think everybody's okay with the 3 days.
I am.
There's a legitimate concern about the emergency part of it, but I understand the intent of the amendment, exercising our oversight. Of course, since this is COVID funding, I'm a little less concerned about that. Given kind of the time element, and I think the intent of this is in the right place. But I don't know. I mean, I sort of see this amendment as several different components to it, and so I think there's consensus on most of it. But I'm just trying to make sure we all understand what we're voting on.
Yeah, I'm okay with the 3-day. Okay, so Mr. Bostwick, it does.
Yes, Madam Chair.
So does Councilman Quirk have a legitimate concern or question here about the amendment? Only.
Well, I think Mr. Quirk can make a motion to separate the amendments, and if there's a second, you could vote on that.
It really just depends. Like, it depends if other council members have an issue, and if not, I'm just willing to vote the whole amendment together because.
Madam Chair.
Yes, yes.
I think the issue is is it that we're going to give the council members 3 days to decide, That's one part, that's one 3-day amendment.
Mhm.
Or are we going to give the administration 3 days to report to us what they are proposing to do? What is the 3 days?
The 3 days is the council would have 3 days after receiving notice of the sale to do nothing or object.
Well, if it's if the second part, if there's no vote or anything after the one councilman objects, then the 3-day decision by a council member is of no work. I mean, it's not. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, the way it's written is if the administration can enter into a contract and do what the resolution authorizes them to do. And as soon as the administration enters into such a contract, whoever the purchasing person is shall immediately forward to the members of the council the recommendation for approval with some specifics about the transaction and a copy of the contract. And so they would do that immediately. And if I'm the administration, immediately means ASAP, because that ball is in their court. The sooner they get it to you, the quicker the 3-day time shot clock starts. So if they enter into a contract on a Tuesday and they notify the council on a Tuesday, then that clock would start ticking right away. And by Friday, if a council member did not object, then it would go through. If a council member did object, then it would be on an emergency legislative session that would need to be convened within 1 day after that 3rd day, in which case that objecting member would request a vote on the transaction. And if that member were able to convince his 3 other colleagues, then of course that the transaction would not occur.
If we divide these amendments, though, what's going to happen is if the the emergency session part of it is voted down, then the first part of the amendment has no value because we have a council member objecting and then nothing happens.
Well, I think we're talking about, if I am correct, and forgive me, I think we're talking about potentially breaking down the amendments into the 3 components as I read them. The first component is to specify that this pre-approval and authorization is for activities related to preventing and preparing for and responding to the coronavirus crisis. The second component is the whole 3-day and the whole 3-day notice process. And then the third component is to specify that the council, by granting this authority of the resolution, will not be waiving any of its other oversight requirements now or in the future. So that's basically the 3 components. So the 3-day notice and the potential 1-day time for council for convening of an emergency session is one thing.
That's Amendment 2 then.
Yes, sir.
I got it.
Madam
Okay.
Chair,
Yes, Councilman.
question for Mr. Boswick. Would the contract then, I just want to be clear, would the contract be subject to council approval?
The only way it would be subject to council approval, again, this resolution is authorizing pre-approval. The only way the council would in effect get another bite at the apple is if after the administration gave you that notice of that recommendation that they're going to go forward with this sale, if within 3 days you or any other member objected, then it would go on, then an emergency session would have to be convened within 1 day after that 3rd day has elapsed. And at that time, that would be the only circumstance where approval would be given or not.
So, but what I want to be sure of, and also want to make sure it's the intent of the sponsors, Councilman Crandall and Councilman Mark, that the county, so let's say hypothetically, it's $7 million for an easy number to use, and a contract is signed, and it comes to the council, and we say, no, we don't really like that for whatever reason. Is the county stuck for $7 million? Without, or do we, or is it a exercise that we're going through that doesn't really impact the
No,
contract?
because I don't believe the county would be on the hook for that $7 million because the settlement has not taken place yet.
Okay.
This
That
would
was your
be,
intent,
as
Councilman
Councilman
Crandall?
Jones said, this would be part of this would be part of due diligence in a real estate transaction.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to interject here and then I'm going to do a motion because I don't understand why I mean, I've heard everybody, but the county would not be purchasing the building unless they needed it. We are in a pandemic, regardless of what anybody thinks. If you're listening to the scientists and what's on TV every day, we're going to have an awful, awful winter. This is not going away anytime soon. And who is going to object to the county purchasing a building to put food in and PPE? And you're saying, well, I might not want it in my district. Well, what? I don't understand. There's not
because it's not all because Madam Chair, it's the potential is that it's not always going to be for food distribution. The use could change, and I already made my point on that.
Okay,
That's my whole point.
Okay, I get that. So you're thinking in the future, and I get that, but the need is now, and it's almost.
But I don't believe that the amendments are so obstructive that we are somehow ruining a real estate transaction. I go back to Councilman Jones's point.
Well, if they do come up, let's say they come up with a building, okay? And you're saying we're not ruining it, and then 2 or 3 say no, 4 say no, and then they're back to square one looking for another warehouse. I don't know if you understand this or not, but Amazon is like crazy, buying everything up and leasing and buying everything up all over Baltimore County.
That is that is a potential outcome of this. I agree. That is a potential outcome. However, as I said before, I would really rather we not abdicate our land use authority and not live up to our responsibilities within that authority.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilman Couch.
I've never done this before, but I move to table the amendment.
Is there a second? Amendment failed. That fails. We don't have a second.
Well, Madam Chair, I think it'd be helpful for the council if Mr. James Benjamin explained better why he has an issue with this, the emergency part. Mr. Benjamin, can you tell the council what your big concern is? Because I mean, I think we all want to make sure we get what we need for COVID and we get this warehouse if we find a good deal. And I'm not too worried about oversight on this very specifically because this is more money that's really designated for COVID. So I view this as a complete one-off. Now, if this was an ongoing concern, or if this was kind of a new way of doing business, yeah, I'd be 100% all in favor of the 3-day and the emergency and everything. Completely agree. But because it's such a specialized situation, I feel like this might be a little more of a cure than really kind of what we need. But that's just my view. So, Mr. Benjamin, can you explain to us why you have an issue with the emergency part of a little more?
Well, it was my understanding, as I said before, that the reason why that the amendments were offered was because of a concern of whether or not the original resolution ran afoul of the charter. I do not believe that it does. If you look at the language of section 715 of the charter, It allows for, well, it says any contract must be approved by the county council before it's executed if the contract is for purchase of real or leasehold property, where the purchase price of the property is in excess of $5,000 or such an amount as may be set by the legislative act of the county council. I think that the legislative act that is contemplated here is the resolution, which would, and the set amount would be for $7.5 million. So as long as the purchase price did not exceed that, it would not violate the charter. That's the first point. Secondly, I think that when you're looking at the policy issue of making sure that the county is able to compete and respond expeditiously, in light of the real estate market being so extremely competitive, the concern being that the acquisition of property could be a barrier if there's a situation where you have to give 3 days notice and you have to, if there's an objection or a concern, having the emergency hearing, it may act as a barrier to the county being able to get or acquire property in order to be able to meet the needs of the county residents in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so my thought is that the amendments are not necessary, and that to be able to, and that the original resolution is in compliance with the charter.
Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. Madam Chair, I think we beat this pretty good, and I think all sides have been heard. So I'd like to just move the amendments as written and hopefully get a second, and we can take a vote on the amendments.
Councilman Crandall,
The amendments as written.
My pleasure. Yes, Ms. Belcastro?
I just wanted to let Councilman Crandall know he already motioned for the amendment.
He's been an eager beaver tonight, hasn't he? With his.
Oh, he did it way earlier before all the discussion started, so I'm keeping tab.
Okay.
And I second.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Boswick, call the amendments.
Yes, Madam Chair. Mrs. Bevins?
No.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Marks? Mr. Catch?
No.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
No.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Okay, the amendment passes. For Bill, where were we? Bill 118-20.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a motion to move the bill as amended?
I'll move that one too, since I'm so eager.
So second.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 118-20 as amended.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Bevins?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Marks? Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Okay, Bill 118-20 has passed as amended.
It's resolution, Madam Chair.
Oh, resolution. That's even better. Very good.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Bykoff.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the council.
Thank you, Mr. Bykoff.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we already did that. Okay. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, next is Resolution 119-20. This is at the request of the administration for the approval of the continuation of the state of emergency pursuant to the initial executive order number 2020-002 for introduction only this evening.
Thank you. Next item.
Next is Resolution 120-20, Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation easements. Introduction only this evening.
Next item.
Next is Resolution 121-20, a resolution to accept gift funds from the Maryland Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services related to the Maryland 911 Board for introduction only this evening.
Thank you. Next item, please.
And the final item, Madam Chair, is Resolution 122-20. This is a resolution sponsored by Councilman Patoka, requesting that the Department of Planning review and update the Ruxton, Riderwood, Lake Roland area plan for introduction only this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Is there any further business to come before the council tonight?
There is no further business, Madam Chair.
I'm going to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
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 There's my gavel. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Miss Rogers, were you on at the beginning when I had my little baby?